Welcome to Mystic Realms Recap. Links are in the description below. Please show some love of the author and me. On to the show. The remains of the martyr Muzihii have long been collected by Zian. This township was quickly dismantled and extracted with the combined efforts of everyone. A large amount of metal materials, natural materials and earthly treasures were extracted. It has reached the level of Jinyu ship. It can be said that the entire starship is almost made of natural materials and earthly treasures. Even if it wasn't the case at the beginning, after so many years of evolution, it has evolved to this level. The most common materials, after being devoured and fused with countless materials, and then baptized by countless biological energy and evolutionary values, have become heavenly materials and earthly treasures. The refining process lasted for 7 days and 7 nights. Too big. There are too many. On the day the extraction was completed, Zian suggested, "Grandma, how about we leave now?" Following Zian's observation. This took more than a month. Sure enough, the distance was much, much further. Even with Zian flying at full speed, it would probably take several months to arrive. The most important thing is, I'm afraid that in the past few months, the distance will become even further. But no matter how far it is, if the flight speed is fast enough, it can be reached in no more than a year at most. Urgent, but not particularly urgent. Zian has no objection. She doesn't need Zian to shout now. Even if Zian and the others are delayed, she will urge them. No matter whether we can find the spatial barrier or not, we must find it. Just to allow Zian and the brilliant fleet to return to the positive universe. Normally, it would be difficult to accommodate 10 battleships in a longitudinal starship that is tens of thousands of meters long. However, Zian's Zhongxing starship was almost completely hollowed out of parts, with only weapons and engines retained. It is easy to load 10 battleships. And while driving, Zian will also continue to find time to continue repairing Zian's starship. Don't say anything else. At least the starship's weapon system must be repaired and perfected. After all, in the anti-universe, it is not 100% safe. It's not like you won't encounter enemies. In this situation, only by restoring a certain level of combat effectiveness can everyone's safety be adequately guaranteed. Anyway, the raw materials of a township have been extracted, and the raw materials are almost enough. The Cosmic Human Federation let the whole universe know how terrifying the wrath of the cosmic human race is. In particular, when the top brass of the Universal Human Federation learned about Zian's true talent from some channels, the top brass are all furious, and furious, because they found out. The estimate of Zian's talent is still too conservative. I originally thought that Zian just had the most powerful Star Wars talent. Now after Zian's accident, I really understand. Star Wars. Practice. Evolution. They are all 10,000% peerless geniuses. Design and personal battle are 10,000% top genius level. 3 unparalleled geniuses. 2 top geniuses. What an incredible talent. The reason why we know that in terms of evolution, Zian has also reached 10,000% of the unparalleled genius talent, no doubt. It was Zian's master Xiaodong who took the initiative to say it. The reason is simple. The purpose of what Master Xiaodong said was to make the higher-ups of the Universal Human Federation pay more attention to Zian. Deploy the greatest strength to rescue Zian. Even if he can't be saved, he must avenge Zian. Then, Xiaodong took the initiative to expose the fact that Zian had mastered the highest 3-cross-fire evolution technology. Talk about this. As expected, the top brass of the Universal Human Federation were all furious. That's not all. When the cocoon is peeled off again and again, when someone asks, Zian's starship identification friend or foe disguise in the C72743 battlefield was not helped by Xiaodong. But after Xiaodong's firm rejection, everyone, including Xiaodong, realized one thing belatedly. Zian. Unknowingly. He even mastered the most advanced evolution technique of an evolutionist. Identity friend or foe identification camouflage technology. Xiaodong. The reason why he has a lofty identity is precisely because he is one of the 5 top evolutionists in the Universal Human Federation who can identify friends and foes and disguise themselves. Everyone familiar with the situation thought it was Xiaodong who helped. As for Xiaodong, he was too busy and did not have much time to pay attention to Zian's situation on the battlefield. Just confirm that Zian is safe and sound. So now to check. Good guy. Xiaodong, the master, fell silent. Actually, Xiaodong's evolutionist level is not the top one. But it is by relying on the technology of identity identification and camouflage that he has obtained the top status and treatment. FFLX. That is to say, his close disciple, Zian. In fact, he already has a status equivalent to his. The most important thing is, Zian is equally outstanding in other fields. Same awesomeness. Even in the realm of evolutionists. He, Xiaodong, did not understand the crossfire technique. But Zian figured it out. In the field of evolutionists, its potential even exceeds his. Plus Star Wars, training, personal battles, and even design. All kinds of talents are added up. The top brass of the Universal Human Federation were all silent. The overwhelming anger grew in the chest. The greatest force in the universe. The current chairman of Universe Technology Group spoke directly. All means must be used to rescue Zian. At the same time, we must use all means to avenge Zian. Universe Technology Group is a group company. However, its power is definitely the #1 in the universe. And its chairman is one of the top super powerful people in the Human Federation of the universe. Even he spoke. Not to mention other super strong people. Since this time, the Human Federation of the universe is completely crazy. Crazy. Inhumans. Ushered in the most crazy revenge action by the Human Federation in the universe. And the hyena human race is the first to bear the brunt. Although, the hunting dog tribe is very well hidden. Extremely well prepared. But do you really think that all the human federations in the universe are doing nothing? It's noisy. When all the power is activated, those hidden hyena humans, without exception, are all invisible. Regardless of whether they are men, women, children, old, weak, sick or disabled, they are even babies of the hyena human race who have been protected. All suffered the most ruthless and deadly killings. Can be caught alive. If you can't catch him alive, you'll be beaten to death on the spot, and those who were captured alive, there will be direct, public execution. For a while, the hyena race, at least the hyena race within the scope of the Universal Human Federation, suffered a devastating blow. For a time, the dog people were in mourning all over the land. But this is just the beginning. It's just a blow within the scope of the Universal Human Federation. After all, the real planners are the Inhumans. And the hyenas in the Inhumans. For this revenge, the human race of the universe. There was a lot of blood. Some powerful human beings who had hidden themselves very deeply no longer hid themselves. The most fatal blow was launched against the Inhumans and the hyena human race within the Inhumans. Even if the Inhumans are already prepared. But the cosmic human race is really ruthless this time. One by one, super strong men appeared from the sky and launched a devastating attack. Teams of super strong men, Li Qianzhao, destroyed the Inhuman galaxies one after another. Hashtag. The most powerful team among them. It even destroyed 1/3 of one of the 102 star seas of the Inhumans. The most important thing is, in the end, the team was able to escape successfully. After this battle, this appalling team suddenly became famous throughout the universe. But When the name of this team was first revealed, everyone suddenly felt enlightened and felt that this should be the case. Just because this team is the fleet that ranked first in the last ranking of the prodigy fleets of the human race in their universe. Black Knight Fleet. The Black Cavalry Fleet disappeared for hundreds of thousands of years. But I didn't expect that this time, it would appear again. What is even more unexpected is Graham. He actually ran away and hid inside the Inhumans. This birth. It is an earth-shattering achievement. Destroyed a full third of the Inhuman star sea. The death toll of the Inhumans is unfathomable. And the revenge of the Universal Human Federation. This is just the beginning. The insects are gloating about their misfortune. Original. The insects are still thinking about when and how they will launch an attack on Zian. But I never expected it. The Taihenin group of Inhumans took the lead in launching an attack on Zian. The attack was very successful, and the insects gave the Inhumans a thumbs up. But the consequences are also serious. First, it was the Inhumans who lost 2 longitudinal starship captains on the spot. What no one expected was, the cosmic human race actually assigned Zian with 3 vertical starship captains and 1 void ship captain as protectors. This is unimaginable. Judging from the guardians assigned to Zian, it is enough to see that Zian's true talent may be much stronger than what he shows. Good thing. The attack was successful. Although Zian was not killed on the spot. But it was thrown into the space turbulence and entered the anti-universe. It is equivalent to killing him. After all, even the captain of the Jinyu ship has no precedent of successfully returning from the anti-universe to the positive universe alive. Why does he sue Zian? The attack on Zian was successful. The cost is also huge. Our side was the first to lose 2 longitudinal starship captains. Then, the dog race suffered the most crazy attack from the human race. Secondly, there is the territory of the alien race. Encountered a crazy counterattack by the humans in the universe. The loss is huge if calculated in total. Damaged here, destroyed there. In total, the Inhumans have a total of 102 star seas. If the total losses are added up, I am afraid that a whole star sea has been lost. This is definitely an unimaginable huge loss. Can you imagine how many people there are in a star sea? Although the Inhumans are not known for their population size after their return. But no matter how small the population is, it cannot be that small. A population of Shanghai. Countless people were lost. Countless powerful people have been lost. But the losses to the human race in the universe are also not small. This time the space humans launched an attack. A large number of super strong men were dispatched. Based on incomplete sibling. There are more than 500 void ship captains who have fallen from the human race in the universe. There are as many as 33 fallen longitudinal starship captains. There was even a captain of a town ship who died. Perhaps. In everyone's eyes. Zian is indeed a super genius and the future of the human race. But after all, it is equivalent to dying young. The human race will sacrifice the lives of so many super strong people to avenge the super genius who has died. Is this very unwise behavior? But in fact, that's not how things work out at all. Just like an ordinary family. You become part of the family. Then your parents, children, or wife were killed. Will you fight with others? According to this logic, since your family members have been killed, do you still need to take advantage of yourself? I believe that 99.999% of people will fight against the murderer without hesitation, even if it involves them. A truth. This. It's war. This. It's a war of races. Except for the super strong man who fell on the spot. Because the battle was too intense. As a result, space cracks in the positive universe continue to appear, and a large number of strong people fall into them. Among them, even the captains of the 2 Jinyu ships also fell into BBB. No. not falling in. To be more precise, they rushed into the space rift on their own initiative. The purpose is simple. They are in the Inhumans' rear area. The Inhumans have countless strong people, and even stronger ones will come over continuously. They cannot escape and will surely die. That being the case, I would rather die in the counter-universe. What's more, entering the anti-universe, there is also a possibility of escape that is infinitely close to zero. But if you don't go in, you will definitely die. The most important is, die in the counter-universe. If he dies, he dies. Those Inhumans will not get a terrifying amount of evolutionary values from them. This is the point. Lost. Just lost. If you die within, you will die within. And this is a battle of revenge from the human race in the universe. It can be said that for countless years, it has been ranked among the top 10 in scale and cruelty in the history of the human race in the universe. Enough to see. The human race of the universe, how angry are they this time? But the Inhumans suffered even greater losses. Especially the hyena humans who bear the brunt. Hyena people. I have personally experienced the cruel consequences of offending the universe human race, one of the pinnacle overlord groups in the universe. So what if I'm hiding among the Inhumans? Inhumans. I can't protect you either. And such a huge loss. There have been many disputes and disagreements within the Inhumans. Kill a Zian. But he suffered such a huge loss, is it worth it or not? Although Zian was killed, there were also many superpowers hidden in the Inhumans from the cosmic human race. But our own casualties were even more severe. Especially, they were unable to fight back in the same way. Because the human race is before revenge. The entire territory has been under martial law. Every day, there will be countless federal troops on guard and patrolling everywhere. There are also countless superpowers inspecting the universe. Whenever there is the slightest movement, the superpowers of the human race will rush over to suppress it as soon as possible. We won't give the hidden superpowers of the Inhumans a chance to take action. Lonely deep space. A giant vertical starship is moving forward rapidly. Compared to 2 months ago, this vertical starship has once again undergone earth-shaking changes. Yes. 2 months have passed since the repairs were completed. Within these 2 months, Zian and others can be regarded as the most relaxed. Because they were always in Lingzhen's starship, they didn't even need to rush. When Zian is free, then he will continue to repair the starship for Lingzhen. At the same time, the evolution of the brilliant fleet starship is also taking place inside the vertical starship. It won't affect anything at all. And because the raw materials are abundant enough, so the rate of evolution, quite fast. Now, the brilliant fleet starship is already a tier 9 battleship. And everyone's bioenergy is about to be fully charged. Zian is already full. But in order to wait for the girls, I didn't evolve myself. It only took a few days before and after, it doesn't matter. It only evolves once every 2 months. There is nothing we can do about this. The main thing is the evolution of the starship, which takes up a lot of time. But this rate of evolution, speaking of which, it's enough to inspire people to know this is a battleship level. And Zian, even a little nostalgic, a little reluctant to give up. Breakthrough is so fast here. I really can't bear to leave here. Because here, he can even break through to the Star Destroyer level in the shortest time. Material energy. It's just too rich. Zian looked at Lu Yuyu's position again. Almost, there is another half month. You can reach the location of the space barrier. The positive and negative universes are indeed active. However, the speed of advancement still exceeds the speed of the universe. That's enough. Today, the biological energy of the women was also at full value at the same time. Brilliant fleet, Japanese battleship. It also officially begins. Half a month later. The starships have all completed their evolution. And Lu Yuyu's positioning. It's already very close. In the past 2.5 months, I have never encountered anything in the anti-universe. It couldn't be more peaceful. Shaoan, is this the place you're talking about? Lingzhen sounded suspiciously. Don't blame her for this. The surroundings looked no different from other places. It was still empty, nothing. Zian said solemnly, I'm sure. Because my sixth sense has never been stronger. This sixth sense though, I'm not sure what it is. But since it exists, there's nothing wrong with trying it. After hearing what Zian said. Even though Lingzhen didn't believe it, she decided to give it a try. After all, there is a slight chance. What's more, the universe is so vast and filled with wonders. There are countless strange people and strange things. Zian is the top peerless genius. It does not seem impossible to have a sixth sense that is far beyond ordinary people. Thinking of this, Lingzhen immediately nodded and said, okay. Listen to you. What do you say, how far away? Along with her words, the dazzling fleets, which were already at the level of 10th level battleships, came out of the longitudinal starships one after another. And Zian doesn't have any nonsense. He looked at Feng Shi and said in a deep voice, wait a minute, watch which direction I attack, and you will follow suit. But remember, control the attack distance and make sure it explodes at the point where I launch the shell. No less, no more. All attacks must be at one point. The barrier of the universe is a very mysterious thing. Exceeded. It is not. Not even close. Zian finished. With a slightly excited mood. Without hesitation, he launched the Brilliance's attack. A lot of artillery shells and missiles. Toward a certain area ahead. Launch over. A violent explosion. Blooming with brilliant colors. Several months have passed since Zian was lost in the anti-universe. But in the airspace where Zian disappeared, the number of security personnel has not decreased. Not only has it not decreased. Instead, more people came. More experts came. Or experts appointed by the Universal Human Federation. Either it was organized voluntarily by various private forces or top research universities, or it was simply organized by a certain expert himself. They come here for only one purpose. Try every means, and use every means to see if you can find Zian back. If possible, this will be a huge breakthrough for mankind in the universe. This would mean anti-universe. It will no longer be a forbidden place for life. But it's a pity. Countless years of research have produced little progress. How could there be any progress in just a few months? The positive and negative universes can even be said to be two completely different worlds. Breaking the barriers between the two worlds is not a problem. But I want to find someone in another world. It's as difficult as climbing to heaven. In particular, the barriers you broke down in the same place. But the location of the anti-universe is absolutely different. It can even be called far and wide. And countless years of research. The only thing that can make progress at the moment is just a little bit. That is, a machine was developed. This machine. Energy fluctuations in the anti-universe can be measured accurately. That's all. This measurement is more accurate than the perception of those super strong people. Besides, there is no progress. Inside the camp, Lu Yuyu's originally bright and beautiful face was now filled with a haggard look. After months of continuous pursuit, in the past few days, under the strict orders of the master, he returned to the camp to rest. Same as that. There were also Muzichio and several other Taoist protectors. And those classmates from Zian Shenzhou Academy. And those classmates from the Zian training camp. There are also Gu Qingzhan, Zhang Wushuang and others from Shenzhou Academy. There are also training camp teachers, instructors, master kaitai, and others. There are also countless people who came spontaneously. Especially, the Sun star system and the Shenzhou star system have the most people. They come here. The purpose is simple. Join these large troops to hunt down the hyena humans. Then, here together, waiting for their pride, the return of Su Tianjiao. Su Tianjiao is a man who has created countless miracles. They believe him. Certainly possible. Several months passed. Ordinarily, there should be no hope, but they are still waiting. Lu Yuyu looked through the porthole of her starship with an expressionless face, staring blankly at a certain deep space outside. If you follow her line of sight, you can clearly see the direction she was looking at. It was at that time that the wormhole appeared, and then Su and the platoon fleet disappeared. Several months have passed. But Lu Yuyu still didn't believe that her junior brother had left forever like this. She didn't believe it. Do not know why. She always had a feeling. Junior brother, I have a feeling that I will be back soon. And she believed in it. At this time, the place where Su Zian disappeared. A large number of expert scientists wearing space armor are still working hard in the vacuum environment. Around them, it is a large number of various types of instruments. Lu Yuyu didn't know what the purpose of these instruments was. And among these busy people, a haggard old man with white beard and hair is the most eye-catching. Although the old man never said anything, let alone expressed anything. But the fact that he has not rested for 27 days is enough to explain a lot of things. Countless people came to persuade him to rest, but he didn't listen at all. In the end, even a certain senior official of the Universal Human Federation, Xia Dongliu's master, also advised him. But Xia Donglu was always busy and stubborn, working hard to save his close disciples. Even though everyone, including Xia Donglu himself, knew it. This hope is extremely slim. Still unmoved. Stared a few times, Lu Yuyu withdrew her gaze. Her calm eyes were gradually filled with murderous aura. Today's break is over. Starship repairs should also be over. Just right. B. Continue to hunt the hyena humans everywhere. Even if there is still a baby in the hyena human race, she will hunt them down endlessly. Although, under the crazy hunting these past few months, the hyena race has lost a full 90% of its population, including ordinary people. Even the hyena race is using all methods and channels to surrender to the cosmic race. He even posted a surrender video directly on the virtual network. The hyena human race will surrender to the cosmic human race forever and ever. The hyena race no longer has a biological captain. All hyena humans, from top to bottom, from old to young, are all transformed into slaves of the human race in the universe, working as cattle and horses for the human race from generation to generation. I just hope that the humans in the universe can spare them this time. However, answer there. It was the cosmic human scientists who immediately locked their location through the virtual online video they released. Then, before the Federal Army arrived, the nearby civilian strongmen had already swarmed forward, and those who could be captured were directly humanely destroyed. Many of the elderly and children among them were mercilessly killed. This is the answer of the Universal Human Federation and the Universal Human Citizens. No words are needed at all. The human race of the universe. He can stand on top of the universe for countless years and is very friendly to his friends. To the enemy, you will feel the true cruelty and bloodthirsty in the human race of the universe. In terms of cruelty, neither the inhumans nor the insects can dare to say that they can surpass the cosmic humans. Don't talk about humanitarianism. Things that don't exist. Something that absolutely does not exist. Now the hyena race within the scope of the Universal Human Federation has become a rat on the street. Everyone is shouting and beating it. They hid in the sewer and brought them out to work. Ask for flowers, 0. It is absolutely impossible to say that the hyena human race does not regret it. B. It's of no use. You have to take responsibility for your own actions. Lu Yuyu no longer thought about it. Get ready to rest with your eyes closed. Prepare for the pursuit to continue tomorrow. But just when she was about to close her eyes and rest, out of the corner of her eye, she suddenly saw one of the group of expert scientists. Immediately, incredible shock and ecstasy broke out on everyone's faces. Everyone seemed to be shouting something at the top of their lungs and dancing. One by one, they pounced on the precious instruments, constantly operating something. Lu Yuyu's beautiful eyes widened suddenly, and she looked at it suspiciously. But see! The instrument that was flashing green light suddenly turned red. And the flashing rate is extremely fast. At first, there were only a few. Soon there were dozens and hundreds of units. In the end, tens of thousands of machines on site all started flashing red lights. 0. And the flashing frequency is getting faster and faster. There were even countless strong men around who stepped directly into the air and asked about something with excited faces. After hearing what these scientists said, he ran back to his starship as fast as possible, started the starship, and seemed to be preparing for something. Lu Yuyu didn't know what this meant. But I don't know why. Her heart suddenly beat very fast. Thump, thump, thump. Just then, a calm voice, but also hiding a trace of happiness, suddenly sounded in everyone's communicator. Attention everyone! Attention everyone! The anti-cosmic energy fluctuation detector detected violent energy fluctuations after detecting our location. And the energy fluctuations are very regular. According to speculation, it is very likely that there is a starship firing cannonballs on the other side of the barrier. Not sure if it is Zian and the members of his dazzling fleet. Wait. Scientists have confirmed that there are more intense fluctuations. The energy fluctuations are extremely powerful, and are likely to reach the level of a vertical starship. Not Zian. Not Zian. Not Zian. The Federal Army immediately stepped forward to cover the evacuation of the scientists. All combatants, prepare for combat. If it's an enemy, remember not to open fire yet, focus on capturing them alive. Attention! 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 One sentence. Let Lu Yuyu experience what it means to go from hell to heaven. Then he fell from heaven to 18 levels of hell. But there is no time to think about this now. The scientists quickly evacuated under the cover of a large number of federal troops. The super strong men in the camp reached the front as quickly as possible. The rest of the staff retreat quickly. As for Lu Yuyu, he rushed forward immediately. Even if the other person is not. Even if the other party is an enemy. Lu Yuyu must also find a way to capture him alive. Then interrogate the other party. Do you know where my little junior brother is? In the anti-universe, which is so dark that it seems to swallow up all light, the cannonballs blooming like fireworks look so dazzling. Every attack was accurate to a point with a diameter of no more than 100 meters. At first, the main and secondary guns, missiles, and even anti-aircraft guns of the brilliant fleet were all in action. But it was only when there was turmoil in this area. Battleship. Even the weapon power of the orange epic quality battleship is far from being able to easily tear apart a space. The so-called space barrier is actually just a name given by Zian, or the human race themselves. In fact, it is not a barrier at all. Normally, if it is really a barrier like a barrier, since it is possible to open a crack to get from the positive universe, then logically speaking, it is also possible to open a crack in the anti-universe to get to the positive universe. This is not the case at all. If it were really that simple, this place wouldn't be called a restricted area of life. It's amazing. Space cracks torn from any place in the positive universe can reach the anti-universe. But the space cracks torn out by 080 from the anti-universe have a 99.999% chance, countless nines, that they are still in the anti-universe. Unless the so-called space barrier is truly attacked, the passage to the positive universe can be truly broken. If I have to describe it, it's like this space barrier, more like a teleportation array. The teleportation array can be opened at will from the positive universe. But from the anti-universe, you need to go to the transmission point of the teleportation array to teleport. It's like a ground cage for catching small fish and shrimps. The positive universe is like the outside of a cage, and the life outside is just small fish and shrimps. Once you enter the Earth cage, that is, the anti-universe, getting out is almost impossible. The anti-universe is like an Earth cage. Easy to get in and out, like a dream. Now, Zian found the entrance and exit from the underground cage. Unfortunately, Zian still underestimated the tenacity of the universe. It is unimaginable that if Shilingzhen had not been encountered and Shilingzhen's starship had not been completely damaged, how difficult it would be for the brilliant fleet to break a space rift and escape from here. Now, of course there is no problem. Navigating starships and tearing apart space rifts is not a big problem. So, since Shilingzhen joined, this space immediately became very unstable. Only the second round. A narrow space crack, only 1 meter long and 10 centimeters wide, appeared in the attacked area, and through this space crack with a length of 1 meter. Everyone, he also clearly saw the situation outside the space crack. The moment I saw the situation outside the space crack, a relieved smile appeared on Zian's face. System. As expected, I was not disappointed. My guess was indeed correct. And all the women, all of them showed bright smiles. They just know. I know Zian will never let them down. Absolutely not. And Shilingzhen. When you can clearly see the situation on the other side through this small space crack, the whole person immediately stayed on the spot. Just watching in a daze, confusion, daze, stupidity, and silence. Silently. No surprise, no joy. Number 71. At this moment, her soul seemed to have been drained out. He even forgot to continue attacking. And obviously this situation is not much better on the other side either. The moment I saw the dazzling fleet, everyone was stunned and stunned. He just stared with his mouth wide open. The space crack healed quickly, and he finally woke up. Also at this moment, countless roars suddenly sounded out in unison, including the very calm captain of the Jinyu ship. At this moment, he completely lost his composure and yelled at the top of his voice incredulously, "Attention, everyone, don't attack! Don't attack! Expert team ready!" After the designated personnel opened the passage, the expert team immediately stabilized the passage. The originally planned diameter of the passage has been expanded to 10,000 meters in diameter. No consumption is counted. No consumption is counted. No consumption is counted. He roared uncontrollably. At the same time as his starship weapons have been launched. And the expression, "It's a surprise. It's ecstasy." It's also full of disbelief. Unbelievable. Came back. Really back, Zian. The unparalleled genius of their 9 heavens star sea is really fracking back? What a joke about the universe. Hold. How on earth did he do it? He is just a battleship. Magic. It's so fracking amazing. Wonder filled his soul. But where did that vertical starship come from? But there was no time to wonder. Quickly command the strong men to attack. Or even give an order directly. Immortal ships and below are not allowed to attack. Can only be attacked by void ships and above starships. The reason is simple. Only void ships and above can inject a large amount of biological energy into the cannonballs, thereby achieving extremely precise power control. He is afraid of immortal ships, star destroyers, and so on. One of them was not paying attention and accidentally hit the other side, hitting Zian. As a result, Zian was beaten to death. He's going to go crazy. One after another, artillery shells began to bombard. These super strong people are more careful than each other. Especially those 3 starship guardians Kaitai, Muzicho, and Zian. It can even be said that it is to the point of being cautious. Although they know very well, as Zian's protector, even if Zian returns this time, they will definitely be punished by the Universal Human Federation. But they were happy. Speaking of which, it was indeed their fault. Now Zian is back. They are willing to go to the battlefield and fight for eons to atone for their sins. Let's look at Lu Yuyu and others. Lu Yuyu, after seeing clearly the situation on the other side of the space crack. Suddenly, my nose suddenly became sore, tears flowed down uncontrollably. But the brightest smile bloomed on that beautiful and haggard face. Xia Donglu had a happy smile on his face. Gu Qingzhan, Zhang Wushuang, Bianzhan, etc. Everyone showed a happy smile. Classmates from China Academy and training camp. After being stunned for a moment, he suddenly roared and roared with ecstasy, releasing his inner joy to his heart's content, not to mention the surrounding federal troops and civilian strongmen. One after another, cheers came and went, continuously, resounding throughout the world. Came back. Zian. Their shining genius. The bright genius of their human race is back. Just no. How could a genius as powerful as Zian die so easily? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And this time, the return of Zian. More than just a joy of his personal return. Will leave his name in history. Because Zian, he is the 4th person in the current universe to return from the anti-universe. At the same time, it is also the first. The man who returns as a battleship captain. Although I don't know how he did it. B4.6. Is it important? How he did it is not important at all. What matters is, he is back. And along with the inside and outside attacks, the space cracks were quickly widened. When the space crack expands to a certain extent, the scientists who had been waiting nearby suddenly swarmed over, use instruments installed in various places to immediately stabilize space cracks. About 30 seconds. Accompanied by beams of energy waves, huge energy is continuously released, stably impacting the space cracks. Let it always maintain this degree of cracking. This passage has been completely stabilized. Zian, who was opposite, seemed to understand this. Now, without hesitation, take the lead. Driving the brilliance. In the spotlight of countless people. Photographed by a large number of media reporters at the scene. In the expectation and joy of countless people. Step out from the anti-universe. Officially return to the real universe. I saw Zian and the brilliant number. Everyone was still in ecstasy, with a strong sense of disbelief. What should be said should not be said. Although everyone is waiting here firmly. Duh. I really have to say that there are a few people who firmly believe that Zian can come back. Except for Lu Yuyu and a few people, there weren't many people. Stay here. It's just an inner obsession and unwillingness to accept that their brilliant genius is lost forever. That's all. How many people are there in the whole universe? How many super strong people have fallen into the anti-universe? In the past, many unparalleled geniuses also fell into the anti-universe. Even a super genius from the Zerg race dominated the list of geniuses and won the title of Great Demon King for decades. Because his talent is really terrifying. The human race, the alien race, the people of the United Nations all agree. At a huge price, the super genius of the insect race was forcibly sent into the anti-universe. It's not that I don't want to kill him. But I can't kill him. After losing a large number of powerful people, they finally ended up in the anti-universe. Now, billions of years have passed. The other party never came out again. Tab is obviously more powerful than Zian, but still can't escape the prison of anti-universe. 11. #K. Really, few people believe that Zian can really return from the anti-universe alive. Even including seeing Zian's return at this moment. There are countless of them, otherwise give yourself a slap in the face. How about pinching yourself hard? Trying to wake myself from sleep, but it's of no use. Came back. Zian, their brilliant talent, Zian, is really back. Junior brother. Zian. Shaoan. Little junior brother. A series of extremely surprising sounds sounded one after another. Accompanied by the last charming voice of extreme joy, a beautiful figure flew directly into the sky and flew towards Zian's brilliant horn. Even sharp-eyed. You can also see the route where the beautiful figure flies, followed by a mile of round droplets, like pearls. Then it condensed into small ice balls almost instantly, floating in the air like pearls. Look at that brilliant number again. The hatch of the brilliance opened quickly, and Zian flew out. And the moment I really saw Zian's figure, all the viewers watching the live media broadcast instantly burst into loud cheers. Came back. He is really back. It's him. It's him. Our hero, Shana. Zian. Zian had just come out of the bright ship. An extremely soft body jumped directly into his arms and hugged him tightly. Her delicate body was trembling with excitement, and she hugged Zian tightly and refused to let go. At the same time, one after another figures also flew towards Zian quickly. On their faces, there was an extremely happy smile. They are all people Zian is familiar with. Master, elder, friend. But even though she was by her side, Lu Yuyu was hugging Zian tightly at this moment. They opened their mouths, but they couldn't say anything. They could only choose to wait. D2. As they waited, their expressions started to get weird. I originally thought that Lu Yuyu lost her temper because she was so happy to suddenly see her junior brother return. But why does it look like this is not the case now? You hold me so well. Whether, a little. Some are too long? And just hug me. How can any senior sister hug her little junior brother and bury her face in his neck? Even Mr. Xiao was slightly startled, then coughed slightly and looked aside involuntarily. What a coincidence. But he saw Qin Fuyue, Haitang, Hu Qiqi and their starships flying out one by one from the cracks in space. His expression suddenly became unnatural. He turned around and looked at his close disciple with a strange look and shook his head. As a last resort, he moved his gaze to the other side. Probably a full minute or so. The cheers around him gradually died down. Third senior brother Wu Lu finally couldn't bear it anymore and said with a teasing expression, "Fourth junior sister, that's enough. If you really want to hug me, go back and find a place where no one is around, and you two can hug me wherever you want. There are a lot of people here, be careful." Lu Yuyu, who was still immersed in the joy of finding her little junior brother, suddenly stiffened when she heard this, and separated from Zian's arms like an electric shock. That beautiful pretty face was slightly rosy, and she pretended to be calm and said, "Why do you need to be sent to prison? I saw that my junior brother returned safely, why shouldn't I be happy?" As Lu Yuyu spoke, her big eyes couldn't help but narrowed, and she looked at Wu Lu fiercely. That look was more or less ferocious. It seemed like he couldn't hide the look in his eyes that he wanted to kill someone. Little junior brother. A voice full of heroic spirit suddenly sounded, and there was deep joy in the voice. Zian immediately turned his head to look, and when he saw the extremely tall figure in front of him, he quickly shouted, "Second senior sister." Second senior sister Qi Jingyi glanced at Lu Yuyu lightly, and then looked Zian up and down. Then he said, "As expected of you. You gave us a huge surprise once again." Qi Jingyi sighed. Obviously, for Su Zianzhen to be able to return, at this moment, it is not a bit like a dream. This was the first time Su Zian saw Qi Jingyi in reality, next to her. It's senior brother Zhang Yuanhai. It was also the first time I saw it in reality, he quickly shouted, elder brother. Su Zian still respects his senior brothers and sisters very much. In fact, this is true for everyone including Lu Yuyu. They are truly sincere towards themselves. Zian can clearly feel this. Zhang Yuanhai just smiled and nodded without saying much. Then he gestured to the side with his eyes. Su Zian followed his instructions and looked. Then he saw it. An old man with white beard and hair was looking at him with a smile on his face and eyes filled with relief. The old man's face seemed to have become more weathered, and the tired look in his eyes could not be concealed. Su Zian knew very well why this was happening. He immediately adjusted his appearance and flew forward. He bowed respectfully and shouted respectfully, Master. Su Zian's master made Xia Donglu smile even wider. But he didn't say much and patted Su Zian on the shoulder. The voice sighed, it will be good to come back, it will be good to come back. Can hear it. Xia Donglio's tone contained a trace of fear. Haha, why did you recognize your first master but not my second master? A gentle voice sounded again, and when he turned around, he saw that it was Master Kai Tai. But not yet waiting for Su Zian to speak. Zhang Wuxuan took the lead and muttered, Nonsense, I am the second one. 477, you are the third one. Kai Tai was speechless, okay, you're second. Then he took a step forward and hugged Su Zian heavily. Kai Tai's gentle voice sounded happier than ever before, you kid, I knew you wouldn't let me down. Yes, it's a good purchase. He really ran out of that damn place. Awesome. Su Zian laughed, and then shouted respectfully, Master, Mentor, Principal. Shout out one by one. Everyone stepped forward and gave Su Zian a big hug. Expressing the ups and downs of their inner feelings, Mom? At this moment, a surprising and incredible shout attracted everyone's attention. No way. This sound was very abrupt and loud. He even couldn't help shouting with the biological power, and he could even hear that the tone of this voice seemed to be trembling. Everyone was confused and followed the reputation. But see. An extremely burly figure appeared in front of an old woman like lightning. The rough, bearded cheeks were flushed with excitement, and his eyes were as wide as bull's eyes, staring at the old man in front of him in extreme ecstasy. I wanted to step forward, but I was deeply afraid that the old woman in front of me was illusory and was a figment of my own imagination. Afraid that this is all just a dream that will be shattered at the touch of a finger. Even Xiao Lao and others were startled. They should know what a rough and arrogant man is. It's the super strong man from the Jinyu ship who was guarding here. And this old woman. It is the captain of the vertical starship who came out of the anti-universe together with Su Zian. So. What the hell is going on? If you're enjoying my content, please consider donating a coffee. Or checking out my shirts on TeePublic. Sure, Lingjun was shaken by the sudden mom. Turning his head tremblingly. Enter the purpose. It was a face that was both familiar and unfamiliar that I had never seen in reality for more than 300,000 years. The reason is more than 300,000 years. For more than 100,000 years, she and her husband's team were subjected to a permanent identification of friend or foe by the top evolutionist of the Universal Human Federation. For more than 100,000 years, it has been hiding in the rear of the insects. 200,000 years ago, the insects used conspiracy methods to kill a very high-ranking genius of the human race. The human race was furious and took revenge. The scale of that revenge was far smaller than that of Su Zian's. But it's definitely not small. Their team, as the main combat force, targeted a peerless genius of the insect race for retribution. After 200,000 years, he has been lost in the anti-universe. Until I met Su Zian. Countless midnight dreams. The image of his son will appear in his mind. In the next 100,000 years, I will still have my husband by my side. But later, in order for her to continue to live, her husband decided to take matters into his own hands. He left the hope of life to her. If not her husband, then the captain of her team. Actually, she died before the arrival of the brilliant fleet. In fact, it will be empty for a few more years at most. She was gone. That period of time. My son is gone. The husband is gone too. He fell into the dark anti-universe again. If it weren't for her husband's instructions before his death, he told her to live well. Tight. I'm afraid I have already chosen relief. Actually, from the time Zian accurately found the space barrier, she was more excited than Zian and everyone else. No one can imagine what kind of mental torture it is to be trapped in a dark place for 200,000 years. Her heart was filled with infinite gratitude to Su Liuan. The first time after coming out, she actually wanted to say goodbye to Zian. Then he immediately went to find his son. But I never expected it. Not waiting for her to say goodbye, it seems that there is God's will in the dark. The son I thought about so much. Just like that, it appeared in front of him. Both familiar. Also strange. Familiar. It's the kind of blood and family affection engraved into the bone marrow, a piece of flesh that fell from one's own body. Strangeness. It's the kind of strangeness I haven't seen in more than 300,000 years. The next second, Lingzhen's eyes filled with tears, and she almost shouted in her hysterical voice, Tower. Then he ran towards his son as fast as he could, as if he was crazy. A burly man with a beard, a super strong human being who killed countless enemies, and his blood was as cold as solidification. Li Shirtao. Now. It also brought tears to my eyes. A super tough guy who has been injured countless times and has never even uttered a sound. At this moment, tears streamed down my face. Hot tears flowed down her face, and she rushed towards her mother like crazy, hugging her tightly. Li Shirtao's voice became hoarse due to excitement, disbelief, and ecstasy, and he shouted tremblingly, "Mom." Immediately afterwards, "Mom" was said several times in succession. Just like childhood. One person. No matter how old he is, no matter how high his status is, no matter how rich or powerful he is, the arms of his parents will always be his most immature haven. It is said that the happiest thing in a person's life. There is nothing better than that when you are 70 or 80 years old and have children and grandchildren, you can still call mom and dad from time to time and get a doting response. When parents are here, there is still a place to come in life. When parents are gone, there is only a way back in life. This moment. Lingzhen is happy. This moment. Li Shirtao, one of the superpowers of the human race. Also happy. The whole soul is filled with happiness. Although both of them couldn't stop crying. But it was joy. Su Zian, Qin Fuyue, and other girls. After the initial sluggishness, they all showed heartfelt smiles. These few months of getting along, Su Zian also has other daughters. He and his teacher, Lingzhen, really get along like grandparents and grandchildren. The same human race. Lost together in the counter-universe. Lingzhen, who had not communicated with others for tens of thousands of years, completely opened her heart. Every day she tells Su Zian and others about the heroic deeds of her husband, and her team. She also sometimes told them about the love between her and her husband, how her son was also a genius back then, how happy and gratified she was, and so on. Both inside and outside her words revealed her endless longing for her husband and son. Su Zian and the others also know better. Lingzhen at this moment. How happy it is. Happy for her too. He is the hero of my human race. They are a family of 3. Happiness. It is the most worthy of wishes. At this moment, the news reports from the media, as well as the live videos, are overwhelming, covering all areas of the entire universe and the Human Federation. Then it radiates to other ethnic groups at the speed of a play. The human federation of the universe is filled with cheers for Zian's return. At the same time of shock, there was endless ecstasy. No one expected. It was originally thought that Zian, the fallen genius of the human race, would never come back. But God played a big joke on them. No. It should be that God was also touched by the prayers and the hearts of countless people. Sent back their pride, the peerless talent of their human race. As for how Zian came back, how did he do it with his strength as a battleship captain? But no one cared at all, not even the top brass of the Universal Human Federation asked anyone. Is it important? Unimportant. Not to mention a peerless genius like Zian. Those are the geniuses and monsters. Who doesn't have his own secrets? Especially the monsters and geniuses who grew up as civilians. Everyone has their own secrets and adventures. But the higher-ups of human beings won't even ask, let alone take care of it. The Universal Federation of Humanity, the sea is open to all rivers and can accommodate everything. In fact, it was also because Zian had read too many novels in his previous life and was really fooled by those authors. Mistakenly believed that if your own secrets and your own system are exposed, you will definitely be sliced into pieces. Actually, instead, they will be protected by the upper management as a supranational treasure. Then do whatever it takes to help you grow. Then we will dissect the existence of the system together to see if the magical functions inside can be replicated. Even if they cannot be copied, they will be studied together to see if they can make greater contributions to the human race. Different heights determine different visions and patterns. Those real peak human beings. In fact, I don't care that much about these. They want it. It is one more, or even more, peak experts in the human race. That's all. Of course. Zian didn't know this clearly. Even if it is clear, it will only be thought about in the mind, certainly not spoken. Perhaps, in the future, he will also become a pillar of the human race, will proactively confess the existence of the system. Then provide it to those experts and scientists to study and benefit all mankind. Now, he wants to be selfish. After all, people's hearts. It is the most elusive thing. Zian doesn't want to test people's hearts and human nature. Because, in fact, there are really not many people who can withstand temptation. The top brass may be able to withstand. But what about those in the middle and upper levels? No one can guarantee noon. And after learning that Zian actually came back successfully, not only did he come back, the brilliant fleet was also intact, and even brought back Zian, the captain of the longitudinal starship that the human race lost in the anti-universe 200,000 years ago. The top leaders of the human race were all elated. But as the saying goes, some people are happy and some are sad. The humans in the universe are having fun here. But the insectoids were dumbfounded. Over there with the aliens. Then he was confused. The insectoids were dumbfounded. They never expected it. I was gloating over the good show. Seeing the furious rage on the human race, fighting the Inhumans to the death. What makes them feel most comfortable? It was that damn Zian who finally died. Battleship lost counterverse. Equivalent to lost anti-universe. But. However. But. Damn it. Zian. The meow is back. Not only is he back. The brilliant fleet also came back with it. Not only are we back together. And they even brought back Zian. Who is Zian? Maybe the new generation of bug people don't know that. But how could the older generation not know? Zian. That's a stinky woman that the insectoids hate with all their teeth. They killed countless people from the insect race back then. But I never expected it. Not only did this stinky woman not die, she was even brought back by Zian, an even more stinky man. Gas. Angry. So King angry. compared to the anger of the insectoids. Over there with the aliens. Then the spiral explodes and takes off. What's going on? Eat the chicken and lose the rice? Shooting yourself in the foot? Lose your wife and lose your troops? Zian didn't succeed. Not only did they lose the hyena human race, a big chess piece hidden in the human race. It completely angered the human race of the universe and launched an extremely strong counterattack, resulting in heavy losses. Actually, if Zian died completely due to this. In fact, the Inhumans made money. 063, let's put it that way, an unparalleled genius. Almost everyone is a super being above the level of a township. What's more, the genius has reached the level of Zian. Once he really grows up in the future. But it is definitely not comparable to losing 1/3 of Shanghai. What's more, they lost 1/3 of the Star Sea. But because of this, there were many chess pieces placed behind them by the cosmic humans. Speaking of which, they are not at a loss. On the contrary, I made money. Zian's talent. Horrible. But now, Zian is back. He also returned with a vertical starship, and his dazzling fleet was unscathed. So this action of the Inhumans is a blood loss. The kind that is super drained. So that the Inhumans are one of the main ethnic groups that presided over the assassination of Zian. Status plummeted. Although it is not to the extent of falling from the master group to the slave group. But it's definitely not much better. They were directly marginalized by the main ethnic group and were at the bottom. The assassination of Zian was successful. This group will be greatly rewarded. Now I have failed and lost money, then you will be severely punished. On the Inhuman network, it can be said that there is a tragedy everywhere. The netizens of the Inhuman race sprayed that race with blood. But that group didn't dare to speak out. They have the most to lose. After all, they were the main planners and planned the assassination of Zian. Nature is the main target of revenge from the human race in the universe. The loss is really too great. B. It's of no use. No one will sympathize with them. So do the Inhumans themselves. Zian's return has completely cleared up the sluggish atmosphere of the human race in the universe in the past few months. The journey of hunting hyenas and humans has not only not stopped, but has become even more exciting. The last 10% of the hyena human race will be completely wiped out before long. At least this is the case for the hyena humans on the human side of the universe. The hyenas on the other side of the Inhumans and bugs, talk about it later. Anyway, this feud is settled. Even encountered on the battlefield. At the same time, 2 hyena humans appeared. The human race will definitely kill the hyena human race first. Assassination. It will never stop. At this moment, inside the camp, Zian received the highest standard of treatment ever. Those familiar people had extremely bright smiles on their faces. To Zian, that's like asking for help. At the same time, I was extremely curious about Zian's experience in the anti-universe, especially how he came back. As for Zian, it's the same rhetoric, everything is pushed to the sixth sense. As for whether you believe it or not, it's their business. The lie has been made up anyway. Believe it or not, it has nothing to do with Zian. He can't really dare to arrest someone for interrogation or anything like that. That obviously doesn't exist. And Zian. Through their words, we also learned about the big and small things that have happened in the universe in the past few months. After hearing the reaction of the human race in the universe, Zian's heart is full of warmth and a sense of belonging. Actually, seriously, he is a time traveler. Even if he has been living in this world for many years. But there is one thing to say, it is undeniable. He always had an outsider mentality. There is always a there is a sense of separation between myself, this world, and the people in this world, who are not in the same world. But now, This sense of estrangement has completely disappeared. The anger and support of stranger tribesmen, the protection and revenge of the higher-ups of the human race in the universe, the anger of elders and friends, and months of unrelenting revenge, besides. The superpowers hidden in the Inhumans fell and were lost in the anti-universe for themselves. Zian was shocked and moved in his heart, and developed a strong sense of belonging and even responsibility. This moment. Zian truly felt that he was completely integrated with the world and the people in this world. But when I heard that those super strong people, behind the Inhumans, used their lives to avenge themselves, they either died generously or turned around and rushed into the anti-universe without hesitation. Zian was silent. An extremely bold idea gradually emerged in his mind. He didn't know whether his idea was what a mature adult should have, because once this idea is implemented, his own mortality rate will be extremely high. But he only knew one thing. The moment this extremely bold idea came up, I don't know if it's childish or not. His blood is burning and boiling. His blood, which had been calm for many years, was boiling with passion again today. Take a deep breath. Then he smiled. What's the harm in occasionally getting passionate and taking risks for these people who use their own lives to avenge themselves? They risk their lives to avenge themselves. Then I am Zian. You can also risk your life to find them and bring them home. They can carry the burden forward for me, Zian. Then I, Zian, can also light up their way home. Think of this. Zian no longer hesitated at all. His gaze, suddenly full of apologies, swept over the delighted faces of everyone present. They were all stunned. And Zian didn't explain anything to them. Suddenly he looked at his master Xiaodonglu and said in a deep voice, "Master, there is something I think I need to tell you." Xiaodonglu was stunned for a moment, then nodded with a smile and said, "What's the matter, tell me." Now that he had made a decision, Zian no longer hesitated and said, "Master, I want you to contact the senior leaders of our human race now. I mean, the one who is really on top. I'm very sorry." Xiaodonglu was not busy asking why Zian asked him to contact the higher-ups of the human race. He just looked at Zian with a steady look. Zian understood what the master meant, smiled bitterly, and explained, "I planning to go back to the anti-universe, so I am really sorry. I'm sorry for the effort and expectation you put in to get me back, but I also have my own reasons for having to go." At this point, Zian said no more. And the people on the scene, everyone froze, looked at each other, and then looked at Zian in astonishment. Obviously, they're about it. Very incomprehensible. Xiaodonglu, on the other hand, twitched his brows and stared at Zian intently, with the smile on his face gradually fading away. Reason: when the master is serious, he is quite intimidating. But this thing, Zian, it must be done. Have to do. He has a reason why he has to do it. Even if. Therefore, you will be lost in the anti-universe for several years, 10 years, or even decades. But he has no regrets. He could never sit back and watch those super strong men carrying the burden for him. In the dark counter-universe, bear the eternal loneliness and despair like Shilingzhen. Then slowly die in despair. Absolutely not. Otherwise, he will never forgive himself in this life. So, facing the master's extremely serious gaze, Zian still looked at his master calmly. The reason is very simple. I was able to find my way home. Since they fell into the abyss of darkness for me. Then me. There are 10,000 reasons to light the way home for them. That's all. As soon as Zian said this, everyone's expressions were stunned. Master Kaitai, who was originally gentle, suddenly became furious because of Zian's previous words, and suddenly all his anger disappeared. After being startled for a moment, he looked at Zian with eyes full of gentleness and pride. Lingzhen looked at Su Zian blankly, with infinite warmth and emotion in her heart. Only her. She is the only one who has experienced the 200,000 years of loneliness and despair. Only then can we truly understand. When she fell into endless darkness and was shrouded in despair, that ray of light that suddenly appeared was so dazzling. She understands. Su Zian was in danger because of this. The meaning behind his words must be the main reason, but she was also greatly touched by her teacher Lingzhen. Li Shitao, captain of the Jinyu ship, looked at Su Zian with gratitude and admiration. He, a dignified captain of the spaceship. What a strong man. What a noble status. Today. But by a junior. But he was admired by a battleship captain. He thinks. If he is one of those super strong men hiding behind the enemy, even in death, even if eternity is lost, I will never regret it either. Absolutely not. Because. Worth it. Gu Qingzhan's eyes instantly softened. Looking at Su Zian proudly. Zhang Wushuang immediately grinned at Su Zian. But with a smile. But with deep worry. But in an instant, it was replaced by a touch of determination. Bian Zhan, Ji Liang, and other former instructors and deputy battalion commanders such as Su Zian. They also laughed proudly. Look. This. They are the students they brought out. This. He is the student they are most proud of. This. That is to say, they are students who are willing to risk their own lives and take revenge for him. This is the peerless genius of the human race in their universe. Zhang Yuanhai looked at him with a smile. His eyes were full of pride. Qi Jingyi looked at Su Zian with a smile. The smile is full of joy. Wu Le looked at him speechlessly. Then he clasped his fingers and began to calculate something, muttering something about something he didn't know. If someone who knows lip reading sees it, he will definitely know that he is actually saying something. You can't let you steal the limelight by yourself. As the third senior brother, I want to go too. Lu Yuyu's smile was extremely bright. It looked so bright. Begonia. His eyes are gentle, like melting glaciers that have been melting for thousands of years. Qin Fuyue, proud and loving like a tide. This is the man she loves deeply. And Hu Qiqi. Meow little cat. B. Chu Tiangu. Mu Ziqiu. 3 guardians. B. Etc., etc. everyone. All, because of Su Zian's words. Heart. Filled with that kind of pride, Master Xiaodong Lu was stunned for a long time. Suddenly he raised his head and laughed wildly several times, laughing and saying nothing. He opened his encrypted optical computer watch on the spot, and unexpectedly, a communication number was dialed on the spot. Soon. The number is connected. Immediately afterwards. A majestic voice that seemed to come from ancient times and seemed to come from the sky came from it. Dong Lu, what do you want from me? But you want to tell me the good news of the return of your disciple and my disciple? I already know about this. That disciple of yours needs to change his religion. His future is infinitely bright. When the future is almost here, I will teach him personally. The voice said softly. Xiaodong Liu's expression became very respectful, and he said with a smile, Master, that's it. Xiaodong Lu took a deep look at Su Zian and said in a deep voice, Master, I'm looking for you for another matter. Zian, he said he would take the initiative to go to the anti-universe. The person on the other end of the communicator was obviously stunned for a moment. Immediately he asked in confusion, why? Obviously. Even if it's him. I can't think of a reason why Su Zian would take the initiative to return to the anti-universe. This time it was luck. Will your luck be so good next time? Xiaodong Lu explained, this time Zian can come back, only because he has a premonition far beyond ordinary people. According to what he said, this time it was his sense of utility, or his sixth sense. I feel the existence of the spatial barrier. In this way, we can return safely. After that, I heard that the strong men lurking in the Inhumans sacrificed their lives and blood in order to avenge him. Many strong men resolutely rushed forward in order not to be captured by the enemy, or to gain their own evolution points from the enemy. After entering the anti-universe, Zian immediately said that he would return to the anti-universe and be a lighthouse to light the way home for those people. Xiaodong Luyan finished speaking briefly and concisely, and then said no more. His rhetoric is exactly the same as Su Zian's rhetoric. The reasons are the same. As for whether Su Zian really has that kind of sixth sense or something else, unimportant. It really doesn't matter. And on the other end of the communicator, silence fell. Silence this time. More than a minute passed. The other party's voice sounded again. I understand. Is he by your side? Hear what this person said. Xiaodong Lu immediately nodded to Su Zian. Su Zian, on the other hand, also respectfully shouted, Master, I am here. Su Zian didn't know who the other party was. But judging from the title Master just called, the other party is obviously the Master's master. The Master's voice was very distant and grand. Zian, can you confirm whether your sixth sense is really accurate? Is it really accurate? Su Zian felt it was impossible for him to answer truthfully. Can't confirm, but it's pretty accurate, the Master said. That means, we are not 100% sure. Su Zian nodded, yes. Master asked again, your intention is good, but you also need to know, once you leave, it is very likely that you will never come back. In this way, they who died for you before will no longer be worth it. And you will die too. You are not afraid? Su Zian smiled. In life, you should do something and something not to do. My blood is warm, not cold. 0, so you can think that I am passionate, but I will go, and I must go. I can't stand to watch them get lost in the counter-universe forever. If I really remain indifferent, this matter will definitely become my inner demon. In this life, there will be no growth. I'm sorry for everyone's efforts. But I really have to go. Su Zian finished speaking. Master was silent for a moment. Suddenly, a hearty and happy voice came from the other end. Okay. As expected of my human race's genius. We, the human race, have a group of passionate and innocent geniuses like you. Only can we stand in this vast universe for countless years. Only in this way can we remain at the top of the universe among hundreds of millions of people. I agree to your request. If you have any conditions, tell me. As long as you say it, we will definitely do everything we can to help you do it. Master said hello several times. It can be seen that I am satisfied with Su Zian in my heart. As for, will Su Zian die because of this? Yes. His death is indeed a loss to the human race. But his spirit will surely be recorded in history and will be passed down. Then 10, 100, or countless Su Zians will emerge from the human race. Of course. This is just the worst possible outcome. The best result is Su Zian is back, like a beacon. We are back with those human heroes. Su Zian said directly, I only have one request. That is, I need the list of all the powerful people in our universe who have been lost in the anti-universe for countless years. This time, now that I have gone. Now that I have become a beacon, I will become a beacon. Then my lighthouse has already illuminated a way. Then this way, I will illuminate it into a broad road home. As soon as this statement came out, everyone present, and the communicator, his breathing suddenly stopped. Immediately afterwards, the sound of extremely heavy breathing. Suddenly, it came from the other end. It's not just the great human being on the opposite side of the communicator. Everyone present. Everyone looked at Su Zian with bright eyes. Their breathing was a little rapid. To know. Countless years. There are countless strong human beings who have fallen into the anti-universe. Every year, strong people get lost. Perhaps most of them are dead. But even if it can only return 1%, the enhancement to the overall strength of the human race will be inestimable. Is this true? Even this great being was so excited that he couldn't control himself and lost his composure. Zian didn't dare to talk too much. Because every time you pass through a space crack, you will be accompanied by space turbulence and enter the anti-universe. Every location is different. No one is sure where it will be. Zian himself didn't know. Even if there is a system. Perhaps. This time, it appeared in a place very, very, very far away from the space barrier. Perhaps millions, tens of millions, or hundreds of millions of years will not reach the space barrier. At that time, I am really completely lost in the anti-universe 507. After all, no one knows how big the anti-universe is. But one thing is for sure. It will definitely not be smaller than the positive universe. So, Zian also took a huge risk this time. I don't dare to guarantee it at all. After thinking for a while, Zian said, I can't be sure. Because I don't even know if I can come back. But within my ability, I will definitely try my best to bring them back. Of course, that's assuming they can be found. Zian's words caused the other party to fall into silence. But the silence didn't last long. Because he heard Zian's determination from Zian's words. That being the case, the only thing he could do, just do everything possible to support Zian. He immediately said, you will get what you want. Besides, are you sure you have no other requirements? Except for your own requests. We will never let you take risks alone. After that, we will also make a series of preparatory measures. At least on this trip, you won't be alone. This great being said firmly. Zian laughed, if that's the case. Actually, you can arrange 1 or 2 support spaceships for me. If there is a support spacecraft, I believe I will have greater confidence. And the purpose of the support ship is simple. It means providing food and living supplies for at least 1 million years. Provide enough raw materials to repair and evolve starships. Provide adequate reserves of ammunition and fuel. The more of these things, the better. The other party's words inspired Zian. 2. If a support spacecraft can follow this time. Indeed, it will be much easier. At least, no more worrying about food, supplies, fuel, and ammunition. That way, even if he was lost in the counter-universe for hundreds of thousands of years, Zian would not be afraid. Of course, this is just the worst possible outcome. Perhaps it won't take that long at all. Maybe in a few months or a few years, we can return with those human heroes. And Zian's words also gave this great being greater confidence. He laughed loudly and said, even if you don't say this, we will be fully prepared for you. So, since you still want to evolve starships in the counter-universe, it just so happens that the Universal Human Federation will give you a big gift for your outstanding contributions. He did not say what this gift was. And since the other party's status is considered a great gift, then this ceremony is definitely not simple. How about this? If you have any requests, you can ask your master. We will do our best to satisfy you. This matter is not a trivial matter. I also need to discuss it with other people and try to come up with a complete solution. That's it for now. Finished. The other party hurriedly ended the call without waiting for Zian to respond. Obviously, this great being is also excited inside at this moment. Because once what Zian said can really come true. Let's put it that way. The overall strength of the human race in the universe. There will be a lot more overall. The most important thing is, if these heroes are really brought back by Zian, then the boost to the morale of the human race will be unimaginably great. The most important point is, once Zian can really do this, the human race of the universe is equivalent to having a super trump card. This super trump card is, the human race of the universe is no longer afraid of getting lost in the anti-universe. For example, those strong human beings who are hiding behind the enemy will be forced into a desperate situation. It is completely possible to escape into the anti-universe. Then wait quietly for Zian's response. Of course. All this depends on whether Zian is willing. The human race will definitely not ask Zian for this, they will only ask. And every time you request, you will pay a large enough reward. This is a truly healthy reward model. Otherwise, if he is full of enthusiasm, once, twice or 3 times, no problem, Zian can risk his life to get medical treatment. B. It's been a long time. The hot blood will cool down. Of course Zian didn't know this. He didn't even think about it for so long. Now, he was only thinking about what else he needed to prepare this time to rescue the human heroes who were carrying heavy loads. First, brilliant number. Must evolve into a deep space ship. After evolving into a deep space ship, the brilliant strength will experience a huge increase. Then in the anti-universe, there will also be more means to deal with crises. Secondly, all kinds of materials and resources must be prepared in sufficient quantities. At last, just ask someone to follow you. It's true that Zian is full of enthusiasm. But I'm not stupid enough to go alone. Joke. Someone who can get lost in the anti-universe and survive for a long time. Basically they are all strong or super strong. Zian went crazy and faced it alone. Of course. Even if Zian didn't say anything about this, the higher-ups of the human race in the universe would force Zian to arrange enough manpower to help him and protect him. There is no doubt about this. The master ended the call in such a hurry to discuss the matter with other senior officials. Discuss which superpowers will be arranged and how many people will be arranged to follow. The matter of material resources and manpower has been dealt with. Then there are the 2 most important things. 1. Wealth value. Second, evolutionary value. Wealth value. My current wealth value is very high. Very, very wealthy. However, that is only at this stage. If you are really unlucky, you will be lost in the anti-universe for many years. This amount of wealth is definitely not enough. And wealth is worth. Actually, it's not a problem. Ziqi Dong Lai, I don't have the ability to use such high-end things at the moment. Ziki and Sangao are completely useless at this stage. Dong Lai, I am only in my 20s. There is no need for this thing. So, Zian plans to sell them all. You can even get a lot of wealth value. Besides, Ren Qingying sighed. In other words, I just told myself face to face. The next batch of dividends will be credited within 24 hours. Yes, Ren Qingying is here too. I have been waiting here for the past few months. Although this dividend is far from enough to allow the system to evolve again. But it's not much. The wealth value should be about the same. At last. It is the evolutionary value. Evolution value. There's a lot left. But this thing. The more the merrier, but it is definitely not that simple to obtain the evolutionary value. So after thinking about it, the only thing that bothered Zian in the end. It's a matter of evolution value. Zian is thinking about these things alone. But he didn't notice it at all. On sight. Those pairs of eyes were fixed on him. 5.7 Look. One is more determined than the other. Including the super-powerful Jinyu ship Captain Li Shirtao. Shi Lingjun also noticed her son's firm gaze. He opened his mouth and wanted to say something. But in the end there was only silence. Then he shook his head and smiled helplessly. The smile looked like one of depression and helplessness. But so determined. She never expected it. I had just escaped from there, but I was about to go back. But can escape. Escape safely with Zian, the genius of the human race. I also met my son. She was very, very satisfied. This time. She will definitely follow. Regardless of whether Zian agrees or disagrees, or whether the Universal Human Federation agrees or disagrees, she will definitely go. For nothing else, I only hope that Zian will encounter fatal danger in the anti-universe. Use her old woman's life. Go and change Zian's life. That's all. When Zian saw the firm eyes of these people at the scene, he secretly said something bad. As expected. The next second, Lu Yuyu said directly and firmly, "Little junior brother. This time, I want to follow you. I don't want to have to endure another few months of being on tenterhooks. No matter what you say, I will go with you. Even if you don't let me, I will go." Lu Yuyu blocked what Zian was saying directly. Zian smiled bitterly. Seeing that others were still waiting to say anything, Zian immediately said in advance, "Wait. I know what you're thinking. It's not that I won't let you follow. But the danger of anti-universe is beyond your imagination. Since you all want to follow, there's no problem. But those on the immortal ship and below should not join in the fun." At this point, Lu Yuyu's obviously pouty little mouth and her big eyes were filled with moisture. Zian quickly added, "Fourth senior sister, you have no problem. It just so happens that in the past few days, can't you just evolve your starship into an immortal ship immediately?" Lu Yuyu smiled happily. The bright moment made Zian willing to buy it. Immediately he bit the tip of his tongue. "This is my senior sister. This is my senior sister. This is my senior sister." Zhan Wushuang raised his eyebrows and said fiercely, "Zian. What do you mean? You mean, you won't even take me with you? Ah? Are you afraid that I will hold you back?" Zian smiled bitterly, "Teacher. To be honest, even now, you can't beat me. Yes, I know you are about to evolve into a star destroyer. But, I'm about to evolve into a deep space ship. You still can't beat me. The ones who come with me this time, at least can defeat me and my fleet, right? Okay, even if we can't beat him, we can at least be evenly matched, right? Otherwise, if you are too weak, follow us. It will indeed affect everyone's progress at that time." After a pause, Zian looked at everyone earnestly and said, "I understand everyone's intention to help me. But this time I go to the anti-universe, I don't have much confidence that I can come back. At that time, it will be very, very difficult and dangerous in the counter-universe. After all, if you encounter a super strong person, even if your starship is damaged or is in danger in the aftermath of the battle, do you think we should save it or not? If I don't save you, I'll just watch you die. That's impossible. Save, but it will hold you back, although this word is not nice. But this trip is related to the future of our human race. So." At this point, Zian said no more. The meaning is already very obvious. Everyone was silent. People present. They are not the kind of unreasonable people. Zhan Wushuang could only smile helplessly and shake his head, saying no more. Although a little unhappy. But she also knows what the big picture is. You will not disregard the safety of others for the sake of your own mood and preferences. As Zian said, her strength is absolutely strong in normal times. This action can be related to the future actions of the human race in the universe. It can only be regarded as a hindrance. It's not just Zhan Wushuang. Many people's expressions were frozen. Nothing more to say. In the end, the highly respected Xia Donglu raised his hand and said, "Zian knows your thoughts well. But this is no small matter. Those who think they have good abilities want to follow. You can contact Zian yourself later. Zian has just returned from the anti-universe, let him rest first." Mr. Xia spoke. Naturally, the others had no objections. Zian and the girls really need a good rest. Especially Zian. You have to think carefully about the process of going to the anti-universe this time. According to calculation, in a month or two at most, it will be back to the opposite side. Maybe shorter. It mainly depends on how things are handled. Same day, No one came to bother Su Zian anymore. Let him have a good rest for the day. Early the next morning, I found a person. The first one to come over was Master Kai Tai. As soon as he came over, Kai Tai said directly, "This time, you are very proud of me. Then this time you return to the anti-universe, and I, as the master, must follow you. This long-faced thing cannot let you, the apprentice, stand alone in beauty." Su Zian was helpless. "Master, even if you don't say, I will also take the initiative to invite you this time. With a great master like you following me, I will feel safer, so you don't need to say anything." Kai Tai nodded with satisfaction and looked at Su Zian with a sigh, but said nothing more. He left with relief and an imperceptible heaviness in his eyes. Looking at his determined back, it's no surprise, during this time, he will arrange all his affairs in the positive universe. It's equivalent to giving an account of the future affairs. This time, going to the anti-universe, everyone is prepared to be lost forever or even die. The anti-universe has always been a forbidden area for life. No one can guarantee that this initiative will return safely. No one can guarantee this. Su Zian has a lot of confidence because he has a system. But what about others? Just what sixth sense did Su Zian talk about? Non-existent. They believe that the sixth sense mentioned by Su Zian must exist. But just relying on the sixth sense Su Zian mentioned, it is absolutely impossible for them to dare to follow them to the anti-universe. Therefore, everyone is actually prepared to be eternally lost and die. And everyone knows one thing very well in their hearts: the probability of eternal loss and death will be as high as 99%. The last 1% is out of trust in Su Zian. The reason why under such circumstances, we are so determined to follow Su Zian to the anti-universe. There is only one reason. Because of Su Zian. Apart from this reason, there cannot be any other reason. As for lighting the way home for those human heroes, that's Su Zian's business. At most, they can be people who hold the candle for Su Zian. Next, familiar people came over one after another. Guqing Zhan, Bian Zhan, Ji Liang. In addition, there are Zhang Yuanhai, Qi Jingyi, and senior brother Wu Lu. In fact, these senior brothers and sisters came together. Master also came together, including Lu Yuyu. Lu Yuyu was sure to follow, so she acted very relaxed. Although he has a relaxed appearance, he has a heavy heart. But she was very happy to go along. When these senior brothers and sisters arrived, there was no surprise. First of all, Wu Lu, who was the most out of the box, shouted directly, "Junior brother and fourth junior sister can go, but if you don't take me, I will worry about you." Qi Jingyi is still so tall and full of heroic beauty. "Junior brother, this is the first time we have met in real life. This is my first request to you. You can't refuse me, right?" Zhang Yuanhai just looked at Su Zian with a smile and said nothing. But the meaning is already obvious. Next to him, Master Xia Donglu opened his mouth, as if he wanted to say something, but in the end he said nothing. But Su Zian can clearly see. The master's originally old face seemed to have become a bit older in an instant. But in the end, nothing was said. The palms and backs of the hands are all flesh. What's more, seeing the profound friendship between these disciples, although they met less often, Xia Donglu was filled with relief. Su Zian also looked deeply at the senior brothers and sisters. Adelaide. They all plan to die with me. This friendship is so heavy. However, this time Su Zian refused without hesitation. "This time, I only plan to bring fourth senior sister with me. Senior brother, second senior sister, and third senior brother, just stay here. We are all brothers and sisters, so we just opened the skylight and spoke openly. To be honest, I do have a certain degree of confidence in this trip. But no one can guarantee the danger of the universe. Master, it's just us disciples. What if we all get lost in there? So, this time I will only take fourth senior sister with me." After hearing what Su Zian said, Zhang Yuanhai, Qi Jingyi, Wu Lu, and Lu Yuyu were all silent. He couldn't help but look at his master Xia Donglu. It's not that they didn't notice the master's silence along the way. However, they are also worried about Su Zian's safety, although I know that those who follow will also do their best. But my family is my family after all. But here, master. Several people fell silent. Thank you for watching Mystic Realms Recap. Please like, share and subscribe. Have a great day.